Federal funds for the massive Gateway Tunnel project have stopped after President Trump chose to block that money last year, forcing thousands of workers off the job. The fate of the project now in the courts. And now there are reports that Mr. Trump is withholding the funding until the project will be named after him. And of course, New York City plays a major role in that project, not just helping source local funding, but also with logistics and the expanded service at Penn Station. And that leads me to my next guest, New York City's Department of Transportation Commissioner Mike Flynn, who is joining me now. So, Commissioner, great to have you here.
Thank you very much.
So, congratulations on the post. And let's begin with the Gateway Tunnel project, right? It stopped as of Friday with that funding, and I know New York and New Jersey are suing, but what could that really mean for the future of transportation in this region?
Well, Gateway's probably the most critical project looking regionally right now in terms of our transportation system and our economy. It's thousands of jobs. It's around, I think, $1 billion that have already been invested in advancing the project. It's massive. And I think, you know, we need to remember the folks using the trains, using these tunnels that were damaged during Sandy, are coming from not just our region. They're really coming from the whole East Coast and even across the country. And that means the economic impact of a decision like this has a huge impact, not only on our regional economy, but nationally. I would think, you know, thousands of jobs at risk. Anybody who is interested in creating jobs and interested in building the American economy would move this project full steam ahead.
Yeah, there's the economic impact, right? But then there's the daily just frustrations that a commuter has to kind of endure going through these old tunnels to kind of travel around. Right. And that's only going to get worse.
That's right. Yeah, building Gateway will allow us to not only fix this infrastructure that's in pretty rough shape, but also allow us to modernize our system and really get ready for the next century or more of regional travel. Yeah,
future and forward thinking, right? I want to talk about snow removal because it's been quite some time now since that big storm that dumped inches of snow here in New York City. Obviously, people are kind of sounding off about this. We did this last week on this very show. People were not happy with the removal efforts. Now, I know you're not Department of Sanitation, but you play a big part in getting this snow off the streets. And here we are now with these mountains of ice that still remain, and it's hard to navigate around. Have you learned some lessons from this? Can you do a better job next time?
Well, I definitely understand, like all New Yorkers, I think we're all ready for this snow to melt. And that was kind of the difference this time, right? As we've had this cold weather and the snow is stuck around. You know, I think on the whole, the snow clearing operations went well, but it's true, you know, there's these sort of areas of opportunity to do a little better next time, whether it's the bus stops, whether it's the crosswalks, and the mayor has tasked us as a city to see what we can learn and to see how we can be a little more proactive in the next storm to clean things up. Yeah,
the bus stops is one thing, but some of the streets just seem narrower because the snow hasn't been cleared from the edges of the street, so it's just kind of creating this gridlock situation.
Right. So sanitation plows the streets, and typically the snow melts eventually, right? And some of the snow they're able to haul away, and they have these massive snow melting machines. If you haven't seen them, they're incredible. The hot tubs, and, you know, and they do their best. But in this case, it's just been so cold. So
yeah, I know it's the deep freeze. It really is just so frustrating that it can't melt quicker. One of the big promises from Mayor Mamdani, of course, has been fast and free buses. Now you can't handle the free part, but you can certainly handle the fast part. Absolutely. So how are you kind of helping kind of guide this along as it moves forward on getting some of these routes to be a whole lot faster?
Yeah, this is one of our top priorities for sure. You know, and I'll say my agency, the Department of Transportation, has been pushing the envelope with different tools for helping buses move faster for a while now. But what we need to do now is really double down on it. We can learn from our past work in terms of what works, whether it's how we design the streets with bus lanes and with the traffic signals to help move the buses faster. It's also things like automated enforcement and other strategies, targeted enforcement.
Talking about the cameras.
Cameras, right, yep. And some NYPD targeted enforcement as well, where we have real trouble spots. But we need to do everything it's going to take, really, to have a meaningful impact on the travel time of those bus riders.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things I hear from commuters who are on these buses say that sometimes the bus has a hard time navigating because of double parked cars or a double parked truck or a delivery. That is not a new problem. So how do you go about fixing those problems?
That's right. It's not a new problem, although the law has been on the books basically forever, right? And so what we're trying to do is be very strategic and use enforcement where it's really needed to keep the bus lanes clear. You know, I mean, every time a driver stops in a bus lane or a bus stop to go pick something up, they need to remember that they may be holding up dozens of bus riders. And we need to remember that bus riders in New York are disproportionately lower income, older New Yorkers, folks with mobility impairments. It's really an issue of fairness, and that's kind of where this is coming from.
You see that, maybe not the free part, but the faster part. Is that something that could happen maybe this year for some of these routes?
We will have a lot to share on that. Absolutely, it's our top priority. Like I said, it's one of our top priorities.
This is our first interview, but I'm going to push you to share it now.
No, we're going to be sharing basically a strategy for how we want to move buses a lot faster. That includes, revisiting projects that we had looked at in the past. It also includes a lot of new ideas. We're trying to approach it very comprehensively, and we're very excited to share more.
Okay, good. Looking forward to that. The City Council Speaker, Julie Menon, has now kind of revisited this idea of outdoor dining, which was year-round, and then it wasn't year-round, and now she's saying she wants it year-round again. How would that kind of affect the street traffic? I know the idea was to take it down so you'd have an easier time to do street snow removal and things like that in the winter months. How would it affect? Are you in support of it?
Well, I think we learned a lot from the COVID era program, which was a lot of learning as we went. And we've had this permanent program for the past year that's seasonal, like you said. It's clear that it is a bit of a barrier to entry for some restaurants, right? We've seen good participation, right? But it's certainly not the same level, and that's what we've been hearing. You're right, too, though, that there are some real operational considerations, whether it's snow plowing, whether it's repaving the streets, and other things like that. But, we'll work with the council on those kinds of details. We'll use what we learned from the last 5 years of experience, and we'll try to tailor the best program we can.
But you're in favor of bringing it back year-round?
I think a year-round program would have higher participation.
Yeah. Okay, for the economy and economic reasons. I want to talk about you for a second. I know you're talking about what you can do for New Yorkers, but for you to come back to the DOT where you spent a lot of time, was it an easy decision when you got that phone call to say, hey, I'll come on back?
I wouldn't even call it a decision. It's the honor of a lifetime. It's humbling. The DOT team is incredible. It feels like a family. The breadth of what they do every day, whether it's paving the roads, keeping our bridges in good condition, fixing sidewalks, and of course making our streets safer, and so many other things, Staten Island Ferry. It's just incredible, and the talent and the passion of the people there. It's really an honor to lead the team. There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of great ideas, and with Mayor Mamdani's leadership, I know we're going to do a lot of great things. All
right, can you take a look at this pothole that's been on 42nd by Madison for me? All right.
311.
I do want to take a look right now at some of these memes that popped up on social media. I thought they were pretty funny here, with Bad Bunny saying what people call us for when they need help with their Metro card. All right, was this you? Are you a big Bad Bunny fan?
I'm a Bad Bunny fan,
When
yes.
one double parked car blocks a bus carrying 50 people. We were just talking about this. Okay? You're having some fun on social media with this. This was good. I like a little spice. When people complain about open streets but then love parades. It's good. All right, and one more. When speeders complain about speed cameras. Are you a snarky guy?
I've been told I have dad humor, but I'm a New Yorker. I'm a little snarky.
There you go. I like that.
Sometimes it's like you got to reach people where they are, right? So we try to use every communication channel, and humor's sometimes the best way.
Humor's good, and Bad Bunny's got the Super Bowl, so there you go.
That's right.
Commissioner, great to see you. We'll talk to you soon, okay?